Sir Tony, first of all, I would like to thank you for your time. We do know and we do see that you have very busy schedule here, and we appreciate your time.
Thank you. It's an absolute pleasure to be with you.
Thank you very much. Sir Tony, actually, having led a nation and now advising global leaders, how do you see the balance between influence and executive power?
Well, you know, the great thing about being in power in government is you take a decision, you can implement it. On the other hand, the advantage of being, as we advise governments in about 45 different countries in the world today, the advantage there is that we're able to take a step back and look more objectively as to what is happening in the world and give advice to governments based on having the time to do an in-depth study. So this is an advantage.
At a time of a global, let's say, geopolitical tensions, economic cooperation, remains a global challenge and global necessity. How can major economies and competing nations find common ground on climate action despite political and economic rivalries?
It's a very good question. I mean, you're right that it's action on climate is a global challenge and a global necessity. And of course, it can be complicated by the politics because the world is today quite divided. On the other hand, I think most people, whether they live in America, China, Central Asia, Southeast Asia, and Europe, they can see that climate is changing. And the impact of that is very, very clear. So even if people have their geopolitical differences, there is a common interest in finding solutions that work on this climate question. And you know, my view in the end is the only way we will solve this climate problem is by developing the technology that will allow countries to develop, because people need to develop, they need their economies to grow, but to do it sustainably. And you know, there we've come a long way, and we should learn the lessons of that. You know, we've come a long way on solar power, on electric vehicles, on batteries. You know, there's a lot that we've done, but there's a lot more we have to do.
Sir Tony, actually COP29 delivered a set of ambitious commitments, but ensuring follow-through has always been a huge challenge. And based on your huge experience in global policymaking, what factors make this summit different in terms of real impact and real action?
I think one of the advantages of what came out of the Baku summit is that there were some very practical things that were done on how carbon markets can operate. So the rules for that were agreed for the first time, and that's vital because that will generate real money to promote change. Secondly, there was obviously a big increase up to $1.3 trillion on the money committed for the climate cause. And there was also the first real substantial putting in place of the loss and damage fund. So, you know, and then there's a whole series of other things. But I think the most difficult thing for any summit is to make sure that the conclusions that come from it are practical. And I think this is what was successfully done.
Sir Tony, if you were to make one significant prediction about the future of climate action, what would it be, and what factors do you think will shape its outcome?
So in my view, the single biggest thing that's happening in the world today, leave aside all the politics and the geopolitics, is the artificial intelligence revolution. And that will also transform the climate debate, because as you get artificial intelligence growing in its power, if you get to the stage which I think we will do in the next few years, artificial general intelligence, then it will transform areas which require deep research and development. So it will transform drug discovery, because you're going to be able to do drug trials and the invention of new drugs far more effectively and quickly as a result of AI. It will also do the same for climate. So for example, if you take the issue of nuclear fusion, okay, which is the kind of holy grail of the thing that everyone aspires to in the energy field, I think that is now within reach because of the way artificial intelligence will accelerate the possibilities, how you organize grids much more effectively, how you do battery storage, how you invent sustainable aviation fuel, for example. So I think the single biggest push forward on the climate debate will come from the general impact of artificial intelligence and the revolution that comes with it.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.